everybody, welcome to Farmhouse Fabrics. Today we have a real treat. Actually, every guest is a real treat. I've got Regina sitting right back here, so I'm thinking, that didn't sound very good, did it? We have a real treat.
We're all treats.
Regina's a fake treat. Anyway, we are so fortunate to have Nona Pontiff with us.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, and Nona, you came from where? How far away?
Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, just outside of Charleston.
Is that like 2 hours or
a little
something
more
like
than
that?
2 hours. Yeah, but it's a nice drive.
And so she came with her husband, and he's just the nicest guy. His name is Marvin. And you've been married, we were just talking about, you've been married since 1970.
1822.
Ah!
It's 1975.
Yeah, 1975.
Yeah.
And so you grew up not in South Carolina.
I did not. I was born in Massachusetts. I grew up in Connecticut. And that's where I met my husband because he was a graduate of the Coast Guard Academy, which is right there in Connecticut. So we've lived a lot of different places around the country and settled here in South Carolina.
Well, when you settled at Mount Pleasant, I mean, did you settle at Mount Pleasant and stay there, or did you like go
that was
other places?
No,
too?
that was the last stop, last tour of duty. Yes.
Well, we're really thrilled that she came. We're going to be talking about pressing and ironing, but meanwhile, I'm going to like get out of the way a little bit. If you have taken Classic Sewing Magazine, you have seen many of Nona's garments in there, and she brought a lot with her. So if we have time, we're going to talk about some of those too.
Yes, we'll have to leave some time for the
right.
eye candy.
Yeah, that's right. It's fun, and everybody likes to see it too.
Yes. Yeah.
The interesting thing is, it's always shocking to me when you see a dress in a magazine, and to me it looks like big. It looks like maybe it's a size 14 or something like that for a girl, and when you come and it's this cute little dress,
it's hard to get the scale on the magazine page.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's really fun to see them in person. I felt that way with Cheryl Clapp's things too. You see it in person, and you're like, oh, the details are so fascinating.
Yes.
So
yes.
Anyway,
so we'll share some of those today.
Yeah, that's great. So Nona has given us a. I know you don't want to start there. Do you want to start there before you go into that?
Well, we can talk about it. We'll
talk about that for a second.
We'll tease it, and then we'll go to the other.
Tease us with this for a minute.
Okay, so this
and then we'll start with the start.
This is a pressing mitt that this is the vintage one from 1970, whatever, that I've used over and over again, and it's so handy. And I don't think you can find it anymore. Maybe on eBay, because it will be listed as vintage. Don't you love it when things we use start to be called vintage?
But you know what? I've never seen one.
You haven't?
No, I've never seen one.
I got one very early when I started sewing garments in the 70s, and I use it a lot.
Yeah.
I always reach for it, even now. So since it's hard to find, we have got a pattern for you, and so when we get to the pressing tools part, we'll talk about that. I think you'll find it very handy. But I want to talk about some pressing issues.
That's right.
So I've got two techniques for you. Simple techniques. They just take a few extra minutes when you're constructing and ironing. We all know you're supposed to press as you go, but the pattern instructions don't usually tell you exactly what to do. So I'm going to give you two very simple techniques that I think will help you make your garments look more professional. We don't want it to look homemade. We want it to look custom made.
That's right.
So I think these two things will help you. And then the third thing we'll talk about are some pressing tool. I have some additional ones besides the pressing mitt. So I have my trusty little iron here. Is this just the cutest thing you ever saw?
Yes. I love it.
So that's just for demonstration purposes.
She said she's had it for a long time, and it was for pressing doll clothes. Oh, isn't that the cutest thing? So I'm hoping, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. When Nona starts putting this out here, I'm going to go to the overhead, which you can see on Facebook and YouTube. I'm sorry, Instagram, we can't, the overhead doesn't work with that, but that way we can get close up and you can actually see the difference in the stitching when we do that. So okay.
All right, so the first thing is when you stitch a seam, we all know you're supposed to press it open, but before you even get to that step, I feel like it's really important to press it. I'm left-handed, so I'm going to.
That's good. That's good. That works great.
Even though this isn't even working, I'm going to have it in my left hand.
Right. I'm going to go to the overhead now so you can see.
So,
I'm going to get
come in
closer.
real close. Okay. All right.
What do you think?
So, right as it came off the sewing machine, it's still flat, and these are still right sides together. You want to press it like this, and what that does is it relaxes the stitches. It, use lots of steam. I love an iron with a shot of steam feature, and it melds, not melt. Not that means your iron's too hot, but MELD. It melds the stitches into the fabric and gives you a smoother look. So here's the, can we see that? Okay.
Yeah, this is the one that just came
So-
off the machine.
So
and
this one
hasn't
hasn't been pressed because there's no heat in this. I was just demonstrating. This one here has been pressed. Now I think you can see the difference pretty well.
been pressed. You can't even,
Yeah.
yeah, you can,
Yeah.
because this is puckery.
Yep. So these were sewn with the same tension. Just this one was pressed and this one was not. Now if you skip that step and you open this one up and pressed it flat, it would look something like this. You're pressing the ripples into it. And
I'm going to hold it up for Instagram just for a second.
So that's not going to be a good look.
So this is where you open your seam and press the seam, but you have not pressed your initial seam flat.
And here is the difference.
Wow.
So you can tell that's going to definitely be a nicer
Yeah, that's
looking finish.
amazing.
So can we
Yeah.
hold it up to that one? Maybe we can even
Oh, yeah,
do
together.
a side by side.
That's right. And
Will
I'm
that
gonna go.
work?
That's amazing.
Isn't that? And they were
You can
stitched.
tell. Can you tell the difference?
They were stitched with the same tension. I kid you not.
Wow.
So, all right. So just add that to your pressing routine. I think you'll see a big difference. Okay, now the next tip, I learned this very early on from my mom. She was a professionally trained seamstress, and I learned everything from her, just not with specific lessons, but just being around her. I learned so much terminology, and so my background is strongly in construction, and this is something that she taught me very early on.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the
We're
overhead.
going to have to, when you have anything that's like a collar, a cuff, a facing, something where you're stitching the two right sides together and you're turning it. So we're going to say this pink is a facing. If you don't get the seam pressed right out, you're going to have a little bit of a wrinkle in there.
Like
I don't know if you
accordion
can
fold
see
or
that.
something like that. Can they see it?
Yeah.
You want me to get closer?
Might have to get a little closer. There we go. And I don't know if you can see that. But anyway, the seam hasn't been pressed right out. There's a little bit of play in that. So it's not going to give you a neat edge. So what I do is, of course, we're going to do this step where we press it flat first, and then you're going to trim it. Then when you turn that facing, or whatever, to the right, to the wrong side, you're going to take it and you're going to push that seam right to the very edge. And that helps you get that edge nice and clean. Now after you've pressed that, the final step is you're going to pull back. So this is the facing, or it's the underside of the collar, or it's the underside of the cuff, and you're going to pull back so just a little bit of that right side layer shows. So it gives you a very clean edge on this side.
So you don't see the other.
So you won't
don't
see
the
that
facing
facing rolling out. Now, in some cases, you still need to understitch it if your pattern calls for that. So,
Well, the question is, let me see if we can. So this is where it's rolled back just a little bit. You can still see a tiny, tiny bit of the red here.
Right on that edge there.
So this is the right side, and you won't see any of the facing. So, well, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When you use that and you roll it out,
Mm-hmm.
and you press it so that those are actually even. You press it even, right?
Lightly.
Lightly.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
that's
can you
what I
can
wanted to
finger
see.
press it, and if it's not cooperating, then I give it a little bit of steam. But the final hard press is going to be
Okay.
when you pull it back.
Because I wondered if it would be
and
hard to pull it back if you pressed it.
Right, you don't want to do it too hard.
Right.
But it will roll back and be nice and neat on the other side.
Well, Janice Cook is a fan. She says she can't wait to try it. She's
Good.
so frustrating when it shows.
It is very frustrating.
is.
Yeah. Now, sometimes I'll even take it and open up the seam first, but then it's a little hard to trim.
I'm gonna go back to here.
Yeah.
So you would open up the seam.
Yeah, you could, just to get that to the very edge,
Right,
and then
right.
bring it back.
Right. Okay.
And that may help you. It just depends on, there's so many variables, the weight of your fabric and how much steam.
Then, and I know I asked you this, and you mentioned it. What about when you want to understitch?
Understitch you would do last. So
Okay.
after you've done that,
After you've rolled it like this.
then you can go in there and flatten it out. And when I understitch, I really give it a yank.
Pull it tight?
Yeah, so that you can get right in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope that helps some people.
Well, that's really like a sharp. Now that's this is probably a poly cotton, right? Because it didn't
Yes.
want to finger press very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But a natural fiber is going to finger press for you, isn't
and
it?
it'll probably be even easier to roll.
Yeah.
And speaking of natural fibers, like if you're an heirloom sewer, I do that initial pressing step even with a French seam. Before
right.
you do any of the other. When I do a French seam, I'm at the ironing board more than I'm at the sewing machine because there's a lot of pressing and manipulating and to get that clean
You want
seam.
to tell the people that don't know, you want to tell them what a French seam is?
Of course.
This is where I'm always interrupting,
No,
Let me mess up your train of thought.
Good point. No, that's when you stitch the wrong sides together first, trim it, you turn it like you would a normal seam. The second step, you have the right sides together, and so that gives you a very, very finished seam. Can we maybe show that?
Sure.
You don't know what a French seam is? I hope the first one I
gonna
picked
love this,
has
you
a French
guys.
seam. Yes, here we go.
Here. So that all the raw edges are encased.
Yes, all the right. So it's a really nice finish.
Sweet it is.
Yeah.
Aw.
And a little spray
Cindy
starch
says,
helps too.
Fantastic tips. I learned watching my mama too.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a question.
Okay.
Mary Lynn says, do you ever hand baste? My grandmother had me hand baste everything.
I don't hand baste everything. When it's something that is not behaving, or a real fine seam that you want to get exactly right, like maybe you want to match up the lace at a shoulder seam or something like that, then yes, I will hand baste. So I avoid it if I can, but in certain cases, it's necessary if you want to get a nice finish. Yeah.
I've actually hand basted. I'm not a big hand baster, but sometimes it really, really makes a difference. Like putting a tiny little sleeve in an opening this big, and it's real hard to sew around with the sewing machine, and having the pins stick everywhere.
Right.
But hand basting, then you have a lot more ability to control it.
And when there's lots of layers, they slip, and
yeah,
then you end up with uneven seam allowances. Yeah,
that's right.
So sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah.
All right. So should we talk about some pressing tools?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
This is a cute idea. I like it.
What should we start with, Sally? I'll just lay them all out here, and we can talk about. Should we start with this?
Yeah, we can start with that.
All right.
There you go.
This is, you might recognize this if
I
you
carry
do
one
any
of these
baking.
in my car, if I'm in a dangerous part of town.
There you go. We'll call it the maple persuader.
Yeah,
maybe?
That's a good
Okay,
idea.
it's a rolling pin in case you don't recognize it. If you know anybody that bakes, this is a great present. I mean, it's the kind we used when I went to culinary school. It's solid. It doesn't need a rolling pin doesn't need handles. I use mine like this because then you get even weight all the way across it. But anyway, it's a great price. So if you know anybody that likes to bake, that would be great for them. But I have discovered a use for it in the sewing room. And it makes a wonderful seam roll. You've probably seen seam rolls that are like this, which are great. It's nice and firm. It's got the wool on one side and cotton on the other. They're great for sleeves and pants leg, but you know, it's not very long. This one makes a great long seam roll. I used it for this taffeta dress here. You can see that. You know, it's a fairly big skirt, long seam. And I needed something longer so I could press faster than I could with that smaller one. So I took a dish towel, or you could use a piece of muslin or cotton that you've got at home, and you just roll it up. You want it big enough so that you have several layers, you know, several rotations of cloth. So you have a little bit of padding, but it's still firm underneath. So you take it like that, and then just take 2 hair ties.
That's quick.
Everybody's got those hanging around the
that's
house.
right.
If you have little girls, or if you have a cat like I do, likes to play with hair ties.
You have a cat? You put hair ties on, on your cat?
No, not on the cat. They make great cat toys. So just like a
That's
Tootsie
interesting.
Roll.
Yeah, look
So
at that.
there's your seam roll. Okay. And you, when you have fabric that the edges of your seam allowance can show, sometimes with
Corduroy?
corduroy, sometimes even do peony.
Yeah.
Or taffeta.
Yeah.
This curved edge, and it's a small curved edge. It's not a gentle curve like this one. It's a small curved edge. So that allows the edges of the seam allowance to sort of fall away from the garment, and you can run your iron along there, and the seam edge, the edges of the seam allowance won't show.
Oh, you've done all these,
I've done
all these things right. I can't
I put
open
it
up.
together
Look
too
at
good,
you.
huh?
Yeah, you did a great job. I was gonna open it up. So
I'm wondering if this one has the has a seam or not. Oh yeah,
It's got this
yeah.
seam.
Here, let's try that one, because then we can demonstrate it. So,
I'm gonna go to the overhead on this.
and I might do. Let's see. Yeah, we can do it from the wrong side. Is that? Put
Can you see it?
forward just a little bit. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So you can see how when this is over the curved edge, the
Oh,
edges
yeah.
are up a little bit.
There's
You see that?
Uh-huh.
So when you press it, my handy dandy little,
Yeah.
it's not gonna make that impression of the cut edge, and it can happen. It'll surprise you. So that's how it would be used.
And that way you have a nice long, long,
A long
20
run.
inches.
Yeah.
20 inches. That's
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So anybody that bakes or sews,
yeah.
they need to get themselves one of these maple
Maybe
persuaders.
2. One for sewing and maple persuaders. One for sewing, one for baking, right? There you
Yes.
go. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some other pressing tools. We've got seam roll. We talked about that a little bit. Now, if you have, suppose you're doing baby garments, such as this little guy here. That's not going to work in that sleeve.
Nope.
So I have got this tiny little seam roll that works great. I've even used it for like a puff sleeve to kind of, you know, get in there and
Oh, I love
press
that.
the
I know the cuff,
the binding.
bias.
Yeah, the bias binding. Yep. Yep. So what this is, it's just a washcloth.
Oh, let me go to overhead. Let me go to. I should have been overhead where they could have seen that. Okay.
Just a rolled up washcloth. and I took a smooth
Aw.
piece of muslin and just safety pinned it. Now you don't want to use the big fluffy washcloth that you save for
Right.
company. You know, you want to
Yeah.
use this is the kind that comes like 12 to a stack in the discount store.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be too big circumference.
Is
So.
this is that muslin or is it? Oh, it is.
Mhm.
Okay, I thought it
Yeah,
was
it's just a-
flannel. I thought it was
No,
like a
it's
little
just a
flannel.
muslin. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
neat is that?
Yeah, it works very well. So I have a box of ironing gadgets. I grew up in a family of engineers, so gadgets and
Oh,
tools
yeah,
are.
yeah. Mhm.
And I keep it by the ironing board, and I'm constantly grabbing one or the other for some purpose, ironing purpose. So, all right. So let's talk some more about the sewing mitt.
Okay.
This little gadget tool, you can put your hand in it, so you can drape blouse or shoulder seam over.
That's
Let
a
me
good
see.
idea.
I can show on this one. Excuse me.
They're loving these ideas.
Oh, good, good. Yeah. This one, you can put your hand in it, but I use it flat on the sewing machine as well, just as often.
Ironing
But
board.
yeah, what did I say?
Sewing machine.
I meant ironing board. Yes, thank you. So you can.
Oh, that is
The
a
sleeve?
great idea.
You know how hard it is to get that sleeve and that shoulder.
You're always trying to put it
Yeah.
over the end of the.
Right.
I'm going to show this.
So
Yeah, you're always trying to put it over the end of the ironing board, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
yes, I love that.
so anything that you've got that's smaller than the end of that standard
Right.
ironing board, you can get in there and really do a nice press on it.
So
Okay.
this has a place to put your hand on both sides, so
Mhm.
that you really don't want your hand too close to the iron. But
Right.
that'll protect when you go
Mhm.
under here. It'll protect
Right.
your hand from
And
getting burned.
we've got the wool and the cotton side, which is traditional for
Yeah.
pressing tools.
Right.
But I use it, as I said, flat on the ironing board just as often.
Karen said, "How handy is that mitt?"
That's right.
Good. So if you're sewing a dart or like a hip curve on a pair of pants, anything
What about like a princess line on a
princess
dress?
lines,
line would
perfect.
be- yeah.
Yes, anything that's got some shape to it. Because when we sew this, we're taking two-dimensional fabric and we're creating a three-dimensional object. So you don't want to be pressing out the shape you're trying to put into it.
That's right.
So here I've got
Okay, let me go here.
just your basic bust dart on a bodice piece, recognize, and this goes right over it, and you iron it like that, and you are going to keep that nice shape in it. Whereas you can see if you tried to iron it like that,
Well, then you also would end up with a lot of puckers too, if you
Mhm,
and then just
mhm.
kind of does this.
right, you're just
'Cause
gonna.
You know how I know that?
That's how we learn, right?
That's how we learn.
We learn by
Yeah,
our mistakes.
I've done that.
Yes,
It's like, oh, I
yes.
know I can do this. Let me just hurry up.
Yeah.
And then you
Don't.
end up with a
Exactly.
like ripples,
Yeah.
a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that looks
So,
that's great.
I think if you have this, you will find uses for it. Keep it handy by your ironing board, and you will find it useful.
I have a question.
All right.
What is the purpose of having one side wool and one side cotton?
Well, if you're using wool, you use the wool side, right? If you're using natural fiber, you use this side. But it holds the steam, right? It holds some heat and moisture, so it helps shape that fabric the way you want it to be shaped. Yeah.
And the vintage one had it, so we're gonna do it just like that.
Yeah. It's tradition. I mean,
It's
look,
tradition.
all of these are.
Yeah, they all are like that. The big old bean,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
kisser on the bean,
Yeah.
that has cotton too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy Paris is asking Sally a question.
All
Do
right.
you still have the little seam rolls for the doll clothes?
The little seam rolls for the doll clothes.
Those little bars, probably.
Oh, the strip stick.
Mm.
Yes, definitely we have the strip stick. So the strip stick, that's like a half round,
Mhm.
and it has a padded cover on it.
So same principle as
It is
this,
same
right?
exact
Except
principle.
with a half.
Half round, and then they come in different lengths.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. I'm not sure what lengths we have, but
It's
We-
9 inch and
9-inch and 18-inch. Yes.
Kits.
What?
Kits and
Oh, the
Yes.
kits. Yeah.
Yes, so we have, I have drawn up a pattern for my version of the vintage sewing knit, and it's as a PDF. The pattern is available online now.
It is. It is.
Okay.
In fact, lots of you have ordered it from our website.
And Sally and her gang has made up a kit with everything you need in there. So
The wool will not stay. When we run out of this one, we'll use another lightweight one. These are the strip sticks, so they're half round, and yeah, that would fit in a doll
perfect. That's
like
my
this.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
great size.
And then the 18-inch.
And we'll have a link to the free PDF download.
Yeah. And then
if
the
you
kit.
haven't downloaded it yet.
So well, go ahead.
I was going to say the latest issue of Threads magazine. It's the one with the lady in the red dress on the cover. Had a very good article about sewing tools,
good.
sewing pressing aids, and a lot of them were very specialized for doing curved seams, and it was very interesting, I found, and it had a lot of different suggestions for stuffing too. You don't want to stuff it, or I wouldn't, with polyester fiber
Right.
fill, because the heat might melt it, or these are stuffed with cotton recycled. It's like fiber fill, but it's cotton instead of polyester.
So Nona and
say
I
that.
were discussing that a little while ago, and the one thing you can do, you could put a layer when you sew this little inside pillow. You could put a layer on each side of cotton batting, and then you can take your old flannel flannel shirts and
Ask your husband first.
yeah.
Don't sneak it out of your closet and cut it up.
Chop them up in little pieces and stuff the inside, and it still can give you this nice soft.
Yes, that's
or
good
that,
recycling.
That once you wash that cashmere sweater that the moths have gotten a hold of, you got to wash it first and get rid of the moths, right?
Right.
Then take that thing and stuff that
If it
inside
has
there too.
outlived its usefulness, then you
Yes,
can
that's
revive it
right.
by using it for
But
stuffing.
be sure and save the buttons, right?
Yes, save the buttons, by all means. Okay, and then one last thing before we get to all the goodies is my favorite iron cleaner, and this is made by Bohin, Bohin, I believe. It's a very handy form. It's like a giant lipstick, and mostly the gunk that gets on my iron is spray starch. From if you do a lot of fine machine sewing, you are using a lot of spray starch. So this is great for that. So you have your real thick padded rag cloth,
Go to the
old
overhead
towel,
so I can see what you're doing here.
whatever. And
Because it runs and gets a little gunky, doesn't it?
it almost it melts. And if you hold it on too long, it's going to melt way down. You don't need a lot, so you just rub it on there, and it'll drip down. It's supposed to do that. Don't worry, and it'll take a lot of gunk with it, with it. But then you just what has dripped onto there, you just rub it over, and it will come clean, and it works great. Because we've all had that happen where you've forgotten to clean your iron.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
You go to iron something white
Yeah.
that has a ridge in it, and
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
ridge, like the collar or the
yeah,
like oh.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
gosh, forgot
yeah.
that. So
Mhm.
all right,
Yeah.
so I hope those tips and products help, and let me know what you think.
I think it's great.
Okay.
All right, now
So, what shall we?
I think you should do the unveiling of.
Oh yes, let's
She
do
has
that.
something really, really special.
Good call. Good call. I think we will do that.
It's this,
Let's
right?
move some of these. Yes. Yes, this was in. I'll let Sally look at the tag.
She's so
Inside there.
smart because she has
There we go.
a tag on each one of these that tells you.
So we can tell you what issue
Yes.
they came out of.
This is called the Little Wedding Suit, and it's a size 3, 2021 Summer Classic Sewing Magazine, page 24.
So 2021.
2021 Summer. adapted from Children's Corner Basic for Boys. And the fabric is shadow striped cotton sateen. Lining is plain cotton sateen. Man, this is so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So impressed.
Thank you. Well, thanks. Sometimes I impress
Oh, look at
myself.
the
Other times I can't remember what I ate for
ruffles. I know.
breakfast. So.
I love the ruffles. That's so cute. The ruffles are Italian cotton organdy. Oh man.
Made with the pleater.
Oh, they were made with a
With
pleater?
not a smocking pleater, but a ruffler attachment.
A ruffler attachment.
Yes,
That
yes,
is okay. I'm
yes.
gonna go to the overhead and show you this, and then she will show you where the inspiration came from. I'm gonna go a little bit wider. Look at
my mark here.
this. Okay. Oh,
So, yeah, so
that
this
is
organdy
so
collar.
wonderful. The Italian
let me
organdy is a
see.
little softer than the Swiss organdy. It's a little lighter weight.
And it's just based on button-on suit. This that looks like suspenders here,
Oh, is that a tuck?
it's a tuck.
Oh,
It's a tuck. And it continues to the back.
oh my goodness.
Well, I didn't think of it, so I will show you where the inspiration
Okay.
came from. This
Okay.
was based on an antique garment that I had in my possession that my mom gave to
I'm gonna
me.
do this for a minute so they can
Okay.
see what you're doing.
And it belonged to my dad. Let's put that over there just a little bit. He wore it in a family wedding. Now this isn't ironed, so I'm getting ready to store it. So of course I've taken the starch out.
Right.
But this is the original one, which is in remarkable condition.
Okay, now we're gonna go back to overhead.
Okay, here we go.
Oh,
For being, it was from the 1920s, so it's about 100 years old.
it's a dimity.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
So I did that. But anyway, you can see the
Yes.
Little
So that was the way
suspenders.
that was made as a
Mhm.
tuck.
I was able to copy the cuff,
Oh man.
and
So
I saw the style of it, and I thought, well, that's a Children's Corner basic button-on pattern, boys pattern, and wanted to copy it. So, but I love the stripes. The hardest part to copy was this part right here. I don't know if we can
Let me get it closer.
see it. There, it's the ruffle stops there.
Oh.
And then the band
Oh, I see.
continues, and so it sort of overlaps at the collar, and it's
Oh, yeah,
nice
I
and
see that.
full. Let's see.
Can they see it?
Yeah, I'll leave it unbuttoned so we can see.
Okay.
But it overlaps. Anyway,
This
it was
is in
it was-
fabulous condition.
it is.
Wow.
It when I got it, it was yellow, almost brown. It was amazing. I mean, you could see where it had been folded for many years, and I thought this is never going to come out.
But it wasn't weakened. It doesn't
It
look
was
like
not.
it looked
The
like
material
really
was in good shape.
right.
I think my grandmother probably took it right off my dad and stored it, and that's. It was probably never worn again.
So tell me how you got it so clean.
Sodium perborate.
Yeah, that's the active ingredient
Yes.
in the vintage
Vintage
soap
soap.
that we
Yeah.
carry too.
Yeah, and I think it took several rinsings to
Right,
get it out, but
right.
yeah. So-
Oh my goodness! That's
And the best
so
part is my
wonderful.
mom got to see this
Oh, she
in
did?
restored condition before she
Nice.
passed away.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
How did you get your See, I'm always getting nosy.
Oh, go ahead.
How'd you get your hem so tiny?
A lot of patience. I taped it to my my cutting board with the lines to get it straight, and a lot of steaming and folding, and I did not use a rolled hem.
You didn't?
No, did not use a rolled hammer. So
Okay, you're
yeah.
gonna have to. We're gonna have to go to the overhead so you can see how tiny that hem is. Let's see.
I think I had to.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think I had to wet it down a little bit to get it to behave, because organdy is
Right. It
Well,
has this mind of its
why we
own.
use it is
Yeah.
because it has stiffness and
But that's
body.
such
They're
a
in awe.
yes. I'm in awe
Treasure,
too.
just gorgeous.
thank you.
Wow.
but I was pleased with the way that came out, looking pleated rather than just gathered.
Right.
You know, I think it gave it a little bit of style. So.
Man.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is really, really wonderful. But how cute to do these.
The tucks are just adorable.
I know. Okay, I'm looking to see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a seam at the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So the tuck is in the front and the back, and they meet at the shoulder,
Yes.
just like
Yes.
matching plaids and that
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
So there
Nona.
isn't a pattern for this particular version of it. It was there was so
Right.
many little tweaks that I had to do. I thought it was going to drive somebody nuts, and it would have taken I would have missed my deadline if I
Oh,
had done a whole pattern. So you can get the closest to it by that children's corner pattern that
okay.
I said. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you would put the tuck in, like when you do pin tucks, you do that in a block first.
Right.
So you would do that tuck that way and then cut the
Right.
shirt out.
So those are the instructions that were given in the magazine.
Right. Well, the
then.
article also focused on if you have a vintage garment and you want to recreate it,
Mhm.
what to look for in a existing pattern to get that close
Right. Right.
copy.
Man, I'm looking. You have. No, it's not lined.
No, the shirt's not lined. No.
That fabric is nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. Guess where I got it?
Did we carry this? Did we carry that? I mean, but
I
look,
got this
it's
at a
not-
wonderful fabric
it's
store.
not see-through or
Named
anything.
Farmhouse Fabrics.
That's
Yes,
beautiful.
it was. I don't think there's any in stock right
Wow.
now, but
Oh. This is a little tinier than the one from Capital Imports, I think. A little tinier stripe, maybe.
it might be. Yeah.
This was a shirting. Wasn't this a nice
I th-
shirting?
yes, it was a
Uh-huh,
shirting.
It was.
Yeah, yes. Yes. Right.
Okay, we have to keep looking for it then. All right.
What should we do next?
What's next?
Should we do? We've got 3 versions of this one.
Oh, let's talk about
maybe we
that.
can
This was
show
a
this
cover.
one.
This was a cover
Yes,
dress.
this one was, you'll probably recognize this. This is an original pattern by me for a back to school issue. And if you'll bear with me, I'll tell you exactly which one it was.
Oh, you're looking for the tag.
Yeah, and I didn't do 3 duplicates, so I've got to find the one that has the tag.
Alright,
Excuse me. Here we go. Here we go. It was autumn of 2020. Make
All
sure
right.
I've got that
Autumn of
right.
2020, and this is the cover
Yes.
dress.
Autumn 2020.
Mhm.
Right, so it was the back to school.
Right.
And this one has a lot of different variations you can use. This little insert here, I did a little twin needle
Look at
tucking
that.
on. You could do a monogram. If you're into heirloom sewing, you could do a lace insert. And there's also a choice in the pattern of the skirt. I like the plaid with the pleats, so this one's pleated, and this one just is gathered.
Oh, look at that.
So you've got lots of choices
Right.
with this.
Now this one has pin tucks going horizontally across the yoke.
Mhm.
You have another. Oh, I see.
Yep.
It's up there. It's a really
Mhm.
dressy one. We got
Yes.
a dressy one.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and the skirt is lined. You don't have to line the skirt, but it gives it a
does
nice
make
feel.
it-
Yeah, this is a
Oh,
little
pretty.
brushed cotton,
Yeah.
and this is just a plain cotton. The bodice is lined. It really needs to be lined to get this part to work out up here.
Covered buttons.
Yeah, we've got a little belt and back.
Yeah.
Nice and flat, so when they're at school, that big bow doesn't bother them in the back.
Or come undone and
Or
they're
come
walking around
undone,
with their-
yeah,
with
tripping
it
on it.
Trailing, yeah.
But the other version is this one here. Is that
I'm trying
in
to
the?
think where. Oh, here it is. Do you need this?
I think I do. Oh, it's fun.
Jeanette says nice variations.
It is.
Thank you.
They're all very different. Now this is dressy and so pretty. All right.
So this one was in a Christmas issue. How should we
We can
hold it up
show
or lay it down?
I'll lay it down.
Okay.
We'll do this, and then we will go out so you can see, get a better view. Look at that. Ooh, that's a lot of beading.
So a lot of ribbon.
Oh, this is velveteen.
And this is velveteen. Yes, that's one thing that doesn't show up real well
I
in
didn't ever realize
the
that.
magazine. But the bodice is velveteen, so I mean it's perfect for your little princess.
Right. And silk du peony, velveteen,
peony,
and then
yes.
the monogram.
And if you want to know which art issue, it is holiday. Okay, holiday 2021. I'm sorry, blanked that on you for a minute there. And then this one, this monogram, that alphabet is from the magazine too. The
Oh, is that in the
Classic
issue?
Sewing
Oh, that's
magazine. I don't think it's in the issue.
Oh,
It's
okay.
It might have been a subscriber.
neat. All right.
I think it was a
One of theirs,
subscriber
okay.
download. Yeah.
So when you, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's twin needle.
oh okay.
Put on with a twin
okay.
needle, so that helps a little.
All right, we're going to get close so you can see that the twin needle means only one time sewing along each ribbon.
Yes. So it's half as much work as
Yeah,
you
that's
thought.
right, half as much. But you're also sewing on velveteen, which makes it want to like scoot around,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So it had a lot of stabilization underneath it before I put the ribbon on.
But how do you keep your ribbon from like going? Did you glue it on? Okay.
I did. I have been a glue stick snob for many years,
Oh, and you wouldn't do it, right?
and I said this calls
She's
for
been
the glue stick.
converted, people.
I have been converted. I went to the glue stick because really there was no other way to do it. You just have to.
That's what I'm thinking. Look how perfect it is.
You just have to be careful that the phone is turned off, the pets are out of the room, the kids aren't coming home from school. There's absolutely no distractions because once you put that on velveteen, you can't change your mind. It will pull the nap off. So, but for that purpose, that was the thing to use. So
Well,
it
you didn't
kept
have
it
to change
even.
your mind because it looks great. Wow. Oh,
And then-
look at the
and then each-
shoulders. Can you see that? Look at how she matched them up. Okay, I'm totally impressed.
Thank you.
I'm totally impressed.
Yeah, that took some doing.
So did it match on the other side?
It does.
Oh
It
yeah,
does
look
match.
at here, and
The-
even the way it.
I couldn't do it at
I'm
the
getting
armholes.
nosy. I'm getting nosy in public. Isn't that terrible? I'm trying to find a flaw here. I cannot find one. No,
I'm sure.
I'm
I'm sure there
I'm
are.
really not trying. That is so wonderful, Nona.
Thanks. Yeah, like I said, you couldn't do it at
Wow.
the armhole for sure. It was just
Oh
not
yeah,
going to work.
yeah.
And
But
then
I'm just talking about the
Yeah, the
point
right.
is exactly the same here as it is on the other side with that little bead. Oh, that's so
Wow.
cute.
Beads are all over it, hasn't it?
And yes, can we see beads? Maybe we can't see.
Okay, let's get closer so they can see the beads. Yeah, now they should be able to see the beads.
Yeah.
Little gold metallic beads.
Little gold beads. So that's
They're probably glass.
a little handwork after all that machine
Yeah,
work.
no kidding. Were you tired of the dress by the time you got
The
done?
hardest part was the back. It was, not only was it hard to match it up because
Yeah.
you have to think about where the fold line is, where the overlap line is, not just the center back.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I'm not going to put buttons on that because it's just gonna distract from that nice design.
Did you just pin it with safety pins?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I can't
Yeah,
can't
that's
say I did that.
Look at the cover.
But I did put.
snaps.
I mean, it's.
Did you cover your own snaps?
I did. Yeah.
Can you see that?
No, it's.
That's so awesome.
It's a dress fit for a little princess,
It
so we're gonna
definitely
put
is.
covered snaps on it.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
When Lonnie says I love it, but I don't think I would attempt it.
I don't
But-
know. Leilani
well,
does a lot of stuff.
Of course, but it was many hours. But you certainly could do a smaller, or you could just do like a yoke dress and just do this
the
part.
front?
Just do the front.
goodness.
And the directions are in the magazine on how to do that. And again, it's
Wow.
like doing it in a block that's bigger than the pattern piece you need to start with. And
So is that how you did the ribbon too? You had a block, or
Yes,
you did
yes,
did the
yeah.
ribbon in a block.
yeah, so I marked it out.
Did you draw your pattern
did.
pattern on there
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
and then start?
So I knew about how much, and it did use a lot of ribbon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would. What kind of marking pencil did you use? Do you remember?
I think I used your basic blue marker because I had pre-washed I wanted it to be at least hand washable. So I had pre-washed the velveteen and it did fine. So then I thought, well, I can use the blue marker.
Wow, I did not realize that was velveteen. That's so
Yeah,
neat.
It really has a nice feel to it.
Man, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Wow,
All right.
that is great. Okay,
So what would you pick this time?
I want this. I want
This
your
one?
pillow.
Oh, the pillow.
The pillow
Okay.
is beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, I love to sew anything. It doesn't have to be a garment. Even though, like from my mom, I told you I had a strong construction background in the things I sewed, but I really like to sew just about anything. So one day this came out of my brain, and this is silk dupioni. The center part. Can they see that while I am sneaking a peek here at the label? This was in the Holiday Classic Sewing Magazine 2018. So, guipure lace, is that the right way to say it?
It is, and
Guipure?
it's from Switzerland. Really, really wide, and it's a galloon because I see both sides are
Both sides.
scalloped.
Right. And I love bows, so I had to
I do
put a
too.
bow on it.
I'm a bow
And
person.
this is honeycomb smocking with pearls. So honeycomb smocking is a form of direct smocking, which means your graph is marked directly on the fabric, and it's not pleated first. English smocking, did I say schmocking? English smocking is pleated first, and then you do the embroidered stitches on top of it. Direct smocking, you're pulling up the fabric with your needle as you go. And there's a lot of different forms of direct smocking,
Oh.
depending on the grid or the sequence of the pulling up of the stitches.
Laura said it's really beautiful.
It is beautiful. So when you mark, how do you mark your grid on something like this? Do you want to go to the overhead and lay it down? We can do that.
Okay.
Maybe we can get a little
Okay.
closer. There
Well,
we go.
once again, I tested my fabric before I decided on the marker.
Right.
I hand washed this, and it seemed okay. So I used a washout marker.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I tested the washability, and I also tested the marker that it could be completely washed out. And another thing I want to stress when you're marking something, if you're not
Let them see.
if you're
Tell
not
that.
quite sure about how it's going to wash out, don't leave your smocking half done for 5-10 years.
Oh.
Try to finish it because it may not come out in 5 or 10 years. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Right.
Usually it does, but we all have those projects, don't we?
Right, I'm
in the
sure.
closet that are the
Yeah.
UFOs, the unfinished
Yeah.
objects. So yeah, it's just
Wow.
you have to think it through.
I mean, that's beautiful. I've seen, like, I love vintage patterns. And were a lot of vintage patterns that had honeycomb smocking
Yes.
in the pattern. And
Yes.
maybe they just ironed it on. Did they have a grid that they ironed on of fabric and then
Well,
you picked
I
it
think I think there may have been just like iron-on dots for
Yeah.
English smocking.
Okay. Right.
And then a lot was done on gingham,
up? Right.
where the grid is already there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this may not be for everybody. I mean, not everyone has a giant sofa they could put this on. I realize that, but this is a 1-inch grid, so you certainly could scale it down to 1/2 inch. Use it for a bodice, a yoke, or a full bodice. I've got
You
a
have-
couple of full bodice
Right.
dresses there.
See, but that's
Mine's calling it American smocking. She
Yeah,
said it's
that's-
so much fun.
Right. That's another term for the direct smocking. It's related. Yeah.
so the dress right back here has a different.
Yes. Should we talk about that one
Yeah,
next?
let's do it. Let's do
All
it.
right. Let's see if I can get
Am
this down.
I getting you off track?
No,
Riley?
no.
Always.
We'll keep it moving
I kinda go
and
with
show
the-
as many things as we can.
Yeah, because this is really interesting. This looks more like fabric manipulation, but I guess any kind of
Yeah,
smocking can be
It can
fabric manipulation.
that can be it can be called that as well.
Okay,
So
you want, go to the overhead. You can flip it around towards you, face you. Have it
okay,
face you.
okay.
And
This
then-
is another form of direct smocking called lozenge. The word is spelled like lozenge, Lozenge. In the art world, it means diamond shaped.
Oh,
Now, if you look at, I know you're saying, it doesn't look like diamonds. They look like capital I's, right?
Yeah.
Capital I or
Mhm,
H.
mhm.
On the back side, and I just said that realizing I probably fully lined it.
Yeah, I
I'm not
bet.
going to be able to show you. Let me see.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
it is
yeah.
fully lined. I'm sorry. On the back side, it does look like a diamond when you are direct
Interesting.
smocking it. So, but that's lozenge.
All right.
And it's very much like, it looks a lot like honeycomb stitch on the wrong side. I mean, excuse me,
Right.
on the side that you stitch on. Then you open it up, and on the opposite side of where you were stitching, you get this design.
So you don't stitch on this side. You stitch on the other side.
Mm-hmm. This
Is
was
it
this was
stretchy?
smocked.
Like, does it stretch a little bit?
It
like,
does a little. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
other
pretty. It's
smocking?
pretty firm now because
Yeah.
it has the
lining.
lining behind it. But yeah, it was smocked
Wow.
on the wrong side.
See if they can see that. Yeah, I think they can. Great. I'll get a little
Might
closer.
need to go in a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is impressive. You made your own spaghetti, right?
Mm-hmm. I did make my own
Look
spaghetti.
at how tiny that is. Was
Taught by Mama.
that so? How did Mama teach you?
Um,
With a needle and thread and pulling it through
she
that way.
she did it. She did do it with a needle and thread,
Can you
pulling
see that? Can they
pulling
see
the
yeah.
pulling the eye end of the
Mhm.
needle
Right.
through.
Right.
But then when loop turners were invented, that's what she used.
Oh, did she use them too?
Mm-hmm. She did.
So she was willing to graduate to
Oh,
loop
yeah.
turners.
Yep.
Wow. And then so it's on the sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so pretty.
And let's see if we can. I know everybody's going to go right to their sewing room and make one of these, so I want to give you the issue. Autumn Classic Sewing Magazine, 2022.
Ah, last year.
So,
So Mary
Yeah.
Lynn said, did you smock that on the block and then cut it out?
yes, I did. Yes, I'm pretty sure in the issue it will tell you how much it is taken up with this particular scale.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good to know ahead of time, so that you know how much of a block to start with, and you'll have enough for your size garment when you get done.
And Becky has got a question.
Okay.
She says, have you written any books?
I have not. I have a 75-page fine machine sewing course that felt like writing a book.
That is a book. No,
Which is
that's a
available
book.
through Saga, and we'll talk about that
Okay.
more later.
All right.
But no other books. No, I have not.
Wow.
And let's see. Does
That
this
is-
one have? Yes, it does. This is a
Okay.
little feature that I'd like to
All
show.
right. Let's
When you have
go.
a big sash, you know the problem, the weight of it, it wants to drop.
Mm-hmm.
So just like you have little thread carriers
Mhm,
on the
mhm,
side there,
mhm.
I also, when I have a big bow like this, I put an extra thread loop in the back, which is not anything new, but what I do is I put it on a snap. I'm going to open this up and then people can see.
Oh,
Okay.
so smart.
Can we see
Yes.
that?
Can you see it, or do I need to go? Can they see it? You think? Can you see it?
Go in a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit more.
Okay.
There we go.
So it's a clear snap, so it doesn't
Yeah.
show. I apologize if you can't see it, but that's the point. We're trying to make it invisible.
Hey, you did a good job.
So what that does is you can tie your,
Yes.
you know,
Mhm.
instead of running that long,
Mhm.
big, fat
Mhm.
sash through just a thread loop, and often it breaks,
Mhm.
and then you end up if you've ironed the sash,
Mm-hmm.
it's all wrinkled now that you've tried to thread it through that loop. So at this point, you would hook it like that,
So much better.
and then tie your bow.
wow.
And then you've got it. And you didn't have to
Yeah.
go to all that trouble. So, just a little tricky trick I wanted to
do
share with
that
everybody.
I've never done it with a snap back here. I've made the loops, and I know exactly what you're saying. But I've done it with at the shoulder for the girls
For straps.
lace dresses for straps, and
Yeah.
to keep the lining, the slip in there, and
Right.
keep it in place. And done it with a snap.
My mom called those lingerie carriers.
Yeah, lingerie
Yes.
carrier. I've done it with
Yes.
as a lingerie carrier.
Yes.
That's a really smart. Oh, I love that.
Denise Ferris says, just in awe of all those beautiful dresses.
Oh,
Thank
Denise.
you. Thank you, Denise. All right. Let's see. What shall we go to next?
You guys have an opinion?
I love that beautiful bishop.
Are you talking about
The blue one? The royal?
Yes.
Uh huh.
All right. Let's go.
I know.
with-
I keep looking at that one
Let's
too.
go with that. Okay. This is.
Woo.
It was a Christmas issue, of course.
There you go.
And have you got your glasses on?
Here we go.
Whoever can get them first,
Yeah.
right? 2019.
This is
I
called
can
the
see it
Snowy
back
Day
there.
Bishop, size 4.
Mhm.
2019 Holiday Classic Sewing Magazine. The pattern is Cherry Williams Basic Bishops and Bonnets, or any bishop pattern with a back button and long sleeve option. Fabric is silk dupioni. The smocking graph and the instructions are in the magazine.
Yes, they are in the magazine.
Okay, the pleated areas are backed with German cotton interfacing.
Mhm.
That's interesting
They are.
to me.
Yes. I figured with the extra weight of the beads and
That's pretty. Okay, we're gonna go to the overhead so
so-
you can see that the beads.
okay, so
close
then
up.
I have to turn it like
And then we
this.
might-
I'm getting it.
There we go.
That.
Wow.
Okay. So what I used, I love using monochromatic because then the texture really becomes an important part of the design. So this is smocked. You probably can't see the stitches, but it's
and
smocked with matching royal thread.
Right.
And then the beads are silver, so they really pop out.
Well, they do.
But,
They're
yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Look at that
Mhm.
sleeve. So this design is in the magazine.
That
right?
design is original by moi.
Good job.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And then it has the button down the back.
Oh, so it buttons all the
Mhm.
way down the back.
Yes.
And covered buttons, y'all.
Yes. And I wonder if I put a little, yes, this is a little trick that I took from Ready to Wear. When you're
Uh-huh.
making covered buttons, always make an extra one.
That's a great idea.
Because, next year when that button pops off, and you hope it won't, but your scraps may not still be around. Or if they are, this will still save you time.
Yeah.
So just make yourself an
Plus,
extra one.
Extra beads in there in case a bead
Yeah.
comes off. Yeah. That's a
So-
good tip.
And then you could keep it in your button box, or you could pin it inside the dress. And
Lonnie says, that is our Christmas dresses.
there you go.
Really?
Good. Glad I inspired
Look
somebody.
at that.
Yes, this one is really special to me because I believe this was the first project I did after some eye surgery.
Oh,
And so
wow.
to be able to do something
Yeah,
that fine
Yeah.
really was
That's so
very
pretty.
rewarding.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Okay.
What's next?
Next.
How about
What?
this one?
Oh yeah. That's this little blue one.
And then I want
This
to talk
is-
about the little pink one
Okay.
too. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all right. So this is just a children's corner apron style dress and slip. I made the slip in a real hurry after I realized that it was so pale that it might not show up in the magazine.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I said it needed another layer because it is a really pretty delicate color. And what's the
This-
name of the?
The pattern is
oh.
Children's Corner Carol.
Mm-hmm.
It was in 2022
2022.
spring Classic Sewing Magazine, and it's made out of satin batiste.
The slip pattern, I just used the same dress pattern for that.
And just cut the
Just
armholes bigger,
cut it a
the
little
neck
bit.
hole a little bit
Mhm.
bigger.
Yeah. But this embroidery design is
Look
by
at this.
Shelley Smola.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Shelley's
So I want to
been
give
here.
her a shout out because it was
Hey,
just
Shelley.
gorgeous.
It is beautiful in blue and white.
It's real
Ooh. Okay, we're gonna go to the overhead so you can get a good idea. Shelley
Yeah.
Smola.
Yeah.
Do I need to back up a little bit?
I want to show that heart too.
Can we get? Do I
Yeah.
need to get closer?
So these
Oh, up here is
designs
the
are
filter
pretty
array.
closely interlocked, and I show in the directions in the magazine how you can stitch out a template of your design, and then you can see exactly how to place it.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, these 4 motifs, this one, and this one, are all the same. They're just reversed
Oh,
or
I see it.
flipped.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you can really play around with them a lot. If you have a actual size design stitched out, you can play around with them and see how they fit. But this
Pretty.
up here I'd like to show. This is
Mhm.
a little, like a machine version
Go
of
around just a
filtre,
Mm-hmm.
Filtre with an accent, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the, see if I can get this right, because I'm not a very good hand embroiderer, so that's not my strong point. But I know that it's pulled thread, I believe, right? Not drawn thread. There is a difference between pulled thread and drawn thread. But that was done on a separate piece of fabric
Oh wow.
and applied like a reverse applique, and that enabled me to get nice clean edges on that heart shape.
That's pretty.
Okay.
I like the see if you can see. There's the little tiny lace gathered, French lace, piping, and then the bias binding.
Mm-hmm.
The blue and white is so sweet.
Yes, I love blue and white.
Oh,
It's just,
my
I mean, it's a classic.
goodness,
It's just
it
a classic.
is.
And the slip just same straight
Yep.
with a little trim on there.
With a little bow.
A little bow.
Yeah.
I'd have a little bow.
I love bows too. That's pretty.
Okay.
Okay.
And speaking of bows, should we do this one?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This one is
It's a very
2 in
lacy
1.
little dress.
It actually is a dress and an underdress. So I've called this a flower girl dress. And it has a pink underslip. It's white lace with a pink underslip.
Sweet.
And it is actually made with wide lace edging. I don't know if they can see that. You certainly could do it with
Okay.
lace yardage.
I'll go this way so you can see the.
Turn around.
Yeah, but it's pretty when you can see the
Yeah.
scallops.
Yeah, and it gives it a little bit of a tiered look,
Mm-hmm.
but without all that huge fullness that you wouldn't want on a
That's
tiny
right.
little girl.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then up here I used the edge of that, so it wasn't an inexpensive dress.
No,
There was a lot
that's
of
right,
lace.
That's right. Wow.
And so I used the scalloped edge for a little trim on the yoke,
Uh-huh.
and then around the neck, and then also
I like your covered buttons with a little
yes,
pink underneath it.
little pink underneath. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah. And then the elastic, you can't really do a casing because it would show through.
Mhm.
So that is probably something that you're not going to be able to see because I wanted it to be invisible. It's like seems great,
Oh right, right,
but
right.
it's actually
like a netting,
a
a tricot or
thin
something. Like
denier
Mhm.
tricot, yeah,
Yeah.
that you can get online, and I just cut my own
Right.
strips, and so it made a very effective casing without showing through. But this also has a surprise. I mean, if you have spent this much on your lace, you might not want to dress your flower girl until, until they get to the church.
Yeah.
And you might want to take it off before they go to the reception.
Mhm.
So here's a little
Oh.
underdress. So you know how brides have a dress for the
Yeah.
ceremony and a dress for the reception. So this is like the
Look at that.
3-year-old version of the
Oh.
second dress.
The little tiny pin toes.
Yeah, and I just used the same pattern and just trimmed it with a little lace
Aw. That is sweet.
and another bow.
So when you use the same pattern, and I'm going to ask you this again. I know I just said it, but
Mhm.
because people are always asking for a slip pattern.
Right.
But
Right.
it's not necessary to have a slip pattern, is it?
No, no. I use the same one, and especially with the yoke, I wanted to have the seam lines the same
Oh, at the same
place,
level.
so this kind of hides behind the trim on here.
But you do cut the neckline
I
down
did.
a little bit.
I did cut it down a
and the
little bit.
armholes a little
Yeah,
bit.
and I can't tell you how much. I just
Right,
sort of
just
winged it.
eyeball it.
Yeah, just so that it wouldn't show
Yeah.
along the edge there. Yeah.
But
I
you know,
love that. Make her feel like one of the big girls.
I know, and but they're sweet in their little slips too. When you take this lacy thing off and you have this on,
Mhm.
they're really really sweet.
Absolutely,
That
absolutely.
is sweet.
And this did take a lot of lace. I won't lie. It was not. But I had a bolt of it in my stash,
That's
and
good because
it was COVID, and
Yeah.
you're kind of trying to use up things you have in your stash.
the wide lace, it's hard to get a good wide
Mm-hmm,
lace.
mm-hmm. But you could certainly get the same effect.
Let's just see.
Yeah.
Let's just see how much lace you put in here.
You could certainly get the same effect with lace yardage, or even if you had, different lengths, different widths of lace. You could put them together and get sort of a bohemian type look. More casual.
Maybe
Look.
So, did
10
you just
yards,
sew one
maybe.
over the
Yeah.
other one?
I did. I just overlapped it enough, and then I turned over on the back, and I trimmed away that heading, so that it was overlapped just a little bit.
you can see it though? Can you see the scallopies? Aren't they
Yeah,
pretty?
it's beautiful.
It looks like just part of the
And
design.
you can
looks
even
great.
do interchangeable different slips.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just change out the bow and do different color for different holidays.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's sweet. So did you make that for the magazine or for somebody?
No, that was from the magazine. Yeah.
Okay.
All these are from the magazine.
Hey, there's something under here. What'd you use?
I backed it with
Is that silk organza? Or poly organza? Or cotton organdy?
I'm drawing a blank. I'm pretty sure it
sorry.
was. I'm pretty sure it was silk organza.
Yeah, but silk sometimes is not very white and it almost feels like a really lightweight.
It might. I know I did have a lot of organdy on hand. So
I think
yeah, you're
this-
right. It is so
see?
white. It must have been.
And
Yeah.
and it pinches, you know,
yes.
it folds.
Yes.
So use
yes.
a really lightweight cotton
Yep.
organdy.
Yep.
Silk does not want to be white. You know,
Right,
it's like
right.
it wants to be a little bit off white.
Exactly.
That's really sweet.
Yeah,
You
that
wouldn't
was
even notice it. in
that
there.
backing just helps give that bodice some
That's right.
some body,
You can still see.
some strength.
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
You can.
Yes.
Oh, that's cute.
Yep.
Well, I won't button it.
That's right. And I did do buttonholes on the lace.
Oh, you did.
Mhm.
Okay, look at that.
Yes. I know.
Yeah. But why not?
I
it's
used
got
the,
you've got an interfacing under there.
Mhm. And yeah, I'm sure I used the same thing for the interfacing that I did for the backing.
Yeah.
And I just did a piece of like salvie
Mhm.
and wrapped it around the front and the back.
Right.
So it had the stabilization of that organdy,
Right.
and then also the salvie, which keeps the stitches above any rough surface. So you'll get a neater looking satin stitch. We could do a week's worth of shows about buttonholes.
Yeah, that's right. People are interested in
Yes,
buttonholes for
yes.
sure. Oh.
All right.
Well, these
Okay.
are on the table, so we need to talk about these.
Okay. Let's talk
I know
about those.
we're running over time a little bit, but
Are we?
we have a lot to show today. Oh, look at here! Oh my goodness! Look at this, everybody. That is so cute.
Another form of direct smocking.
So what do they call that, Nona?
That is called flower smocking.
Oh, I love that.
We
You might have to go the overhead and so they can see it.
I can see right there.
Let me go here.
Okay.
And we'll get a little bit closer. Oh my goodness. Look at that.
And it's just a little box style purse. And a braided handle. And a bead put in each one.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this was in the magazine, right?
Mm-hmm. It was.
Okay, this was in 2017 holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Classic sewing. Flower smocked evening purse. Original design. silk charmeuse, Kona cotton lining, glass beads, satin rat tail cord. Flower smocking instructions in the issue.
So the charmeuse works well for that technique because it's got a little bit of bounce to it.
Oh.
It will behave itself when you're shaping it into the petals, but it has enough bounce to it that it will stay.
I'm
If
taking
like
it away from the overhead.
if you tried to do it in linen, it would just flatten out.
Oh, it would?
Yeah, it wouldn't. I mean, it would be.
That is so pretty.
And then the rest of the purse, of course, has to be backed with something stiff. so-
right.
Yep.
Man,
Yep.
love that.
And then these are just little totes that were in autumn of 2019. Different varieties. They are insulated. You can you hear that? It has the batting that has a heat or insulating layer in the middle of it with monogram. Just different styles.
Valerie's asking, could you use the poly Dupioni for the purse?
Yes. That is one technique that will work it will work better with a synthetic than with a natural.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you better buy it fast because flying out the door today.
Now, do we have? Oh, we are over, aren't we?
So what did you want? You wanted to show something
I was
else.
going to just show one more thing.
Do it.
The blouse.
Oh yeah, the
I can
blouse. Pretty.
find. Let's see. This one.
I hate to not show
And-
this.
Oh, here it is.
Is that a backpack?
Yes, a little toddler backpack.
Isn't that cute?
Yep.
Okay,
So.
I'll tell you what magazine this is in. 2017 autumn. And the download includes machine applique tips. Wow. So you can look up 2017 autumn.
All right, and so that
Let me do-
linen one, you're so good with that. I'm gonna
I
let
don't
you do
know.
the white linen.
See if I can do it.
This is called the Anna blouse, and it was in the pattern envelope that comes with the magazine, and it's an original design by me, and I wanted to just show a couple of different variations. There was a holiday issue that came out a couple of years later, and I don't have that, but it was a lace blouse with a 3/4 sleeve, so both versions are in the magazine. This original one was in autumn 2021. So this is the linen version,
All right.
the short sleeve version.
All right.
And if you've, I mean, a white blouse is basic, right, to our wardrobes. Everybody needs one. You can accessorize it and dress it up and dress it down. And if you've ever been afraid to do shirts, try this one because it has no collar band.
Right.
It's
that does save.
no collar stand, no separate. It's just a flat camp shirt style collar, and this has some simple turn back cuffs, so you're not dealing with any placket and all that. So give that a try, and you can see there's a lot of different variations here. This one you might recognize. This was from a
I do
a
recognize
remnant.
it. Yeah. Real casual.
just with a little ruffle on the sleeve. I didn't even do the cuff, and I eliminated the tucks.
I was gonna say I
the
feel
ruffle.
like I do too, and I feel like the collar is smaller, but this one just has a trim on it.
Right. Yeah, and this one has tucks on the back
Oh,
too.
I love that.
So,
That's pretty. Now this one I do recognize this fabric. I love this fabric.
so this is the 3/4 sleeve version,
This is an
Yeah.
embroidered cotton.
Yep,
Ooh,
embroidered
that's
cotton.
pretty.
and it'll go with anything.
Wow.
So, if you are used to sewing for children, you might want to branch out and try this. Now that they're back in school,
Yeah.
Make something for yourself.
That's right.
treat yourself.
That's beautiful.
Okay,
So do you wear these, or did you just make them for the magazine?
a little of both.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? We can go this way again. All right. So, have we? I know we've missed some things. Nona's gonna have to come back. Will you come back?
to
Because
do that.
tell me about your teaching with the saga and that kind of thing.
Well, I have taught for I teach a correspondence course called Fine Machine Sewing Basics. It's 5 lessons, and it's only available. You sign up through the Saga website. You do have to be a Saga member, and Saga is Smocking Arts Guild of America, if you don't know. So you can take my course. You mail the lessons back and forth, and if you're an artisan member, you get 10 points. It's 5 lessons, so 10 points for 10 artisan points for that. I have taught a few times at the conventions, but now I'm just doing the correspondence course and the magazine articles, which keeps me busy.
Oh, they'll keep you busy. You have a lot of those.
But this is going to be a giveaway, I think, Sally.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Okay, it's an assortment of
This is gonna
fine
be
machine
for
sewing.
next
Yeah,
week.
for heirloom sewing, with some lace and ribbons, 4 or 5 different kinds of needles, and some entredeaux and some Pima cotton batiste. So if you're wanting to maybe try some heirloom sewing, this would be a great starter pack.
This is a gift from Nona.
And if you happen to be a Saga member and you want to sign up for the correspondence course, this just happens to be everything you need to start the course. It would be your kit.
Nice.
And
you have
so
the
we're giving it away.
heirloom thread.
Yeah, a couple different kinds of thread, everything you need.
Yeah. There's a big list of things in here. Big list.
Yes.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're so
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're so welcome.
So we're going to have a lot of fun in next week's giveaway, just like this week's giveaway. You know, the question I asked it was, what did they have suggestions for repelling moths? Because we're selling so much wool right now, and it was interesting. A lot of people said, "Well, I'm anxious to hear what everybody's saying," because you know most of us have problems with moths. But I think one of the biggest things is to put your clothes away clean. Like if you store them for the season,
Yes.
make sure that
Yes.
they've been cleaned before they're stored.
And that's so easy to forget. You know, you come
Well,
home and
yeah.
put it in the closet and forget.
And especially with something wool, you're not washing it every day, and so you don't think about it, and then it might not even look soiled.
Right.
But just
Right.
it could have some little thing on it that's very attractive to moths. So
It's important because wool garments are an investment.
they are, yeah. But I like. I mean, a lot of the pressing tools have wool, and and like you said, they absorb the heat and the moisture,
That steam.
the steam, so it really helps. But
Yes.
so next week, Nona won't be here, but she will be here in spirit because she's given us this wonderful gift. And tell me about your Instagram page. Your Instagram.
Oh,
because
yes. I do have it.
love to look at her Instagram
I
page.
do have an Instagram page. It's called So Sweet Chef with an underscore between the words. And I have things that I've sewn, and I also have things that I have baked or cooked. So check it out.
You'll be inspired and you'll be hungry when you get done.
That's for sure.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
What else can I encourage people with Nona? The smocking. You have a smocking class too, right? Do you teach smocking by correspondence? or
No, not currently.
Okay,
Not currently.
okay.
There are some up here, so
Okay,
hopefully someday.
good.
But right now it's just the
Good.
machine sewing basics. Yes.
All right, so everything today giveaway is from Nona. She gave us the pattern, and Emma put together a kit, and we will have the stuffing in it too. And so this will be a kit, a Nona Pontiff mitt kit.
The mitt kit.
The mitt kit is today, mitt kit, and let's see who is our winner. So somebody
right.
in here is the winner, Nona, and
Okay.
you can.
All right.
You can be the.
Okie doke. The winner is Sue Press.
Oh, how
appropriate. Congratulations, Sue. Haven't sewn with wool or silk for a long time, and so never had a problem with moths. Would be interested to know what others have done to keep them
Yeah,
away.
that's a lot.
Oh, and
She
Katie,
tagged.
that's her
she
tag.
tagged.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll put this with this. And
I
so
hope you
Sue
enjoy it.
Press. Yeah. How awesome is that? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I really
You're
appreciate it.
so welcome,
It's
Sally.
Great. And hopefully that she'll come back. All right. Bye bye. And you